Brilliant. Hello, good afternoon, Adam. Welcome to Habits HQ.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, it's a very grey Walton-on-Thames here. Where are you today, and what's going on with your weather?
So I am Leeds based. It was actually really nice. I mean, I've been wandering out in shorts and t-shirt. However, it's just starting to turn cloudy and a little bit cold.
Yeah, I'll give away my secret. I'm in shorts and t-shirt as well. I'm one of those weird shorts people. Often get mistaken for an Australian walking around. So we're here today for a very important reason. So I'm on a mission to help ops leaders get home to their family on time. And I think it all could be done through habits. And that's what I'm building in the Habits Hub. And I've invited you today to help me get my head a bit more around habits for looking after your health, because you are the founder and coach at T3 Functional Fitness. And I know you two have a program about getting people fit. So I thought it'd be great to have a conversation with you today about 5 habits to just keep you fit at home.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Amazing. So let's not waste people's time, because we know it's coming up to Christmas. There are mince pies to be eaten and then worked off in the gym straight away after. What is habit number 1 that we can give to the people today?
Yes. So habit number 1 is focusing around movement, and in particular, daily movement. By that, I don't necessarily mean kind of getting in the gym. We'll talk about that afterwards. But this one is just about essentially getting your steps in. We've all heard this idea of you need to get your steps in and get moving throughout the day. And what we're really aiming for is 20 minutes. And it doesn't have to be 20 minutes like all in one go. You can work it based on your schedule. So it can be 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes on your lunch, and 10 minutes after work, or it can be 10 minutes before work, 10 minutes on your lunch, wherever. But the aim is 20 minutes a day. And if you are consistent with that every day during the week for a prolonged period of time, it can add 3.4 years, I believe it is, onto your lifespan. So it's only a small amount per day, but it has a huge impact.
Yeah, and they're easy chunked as well, because we all have meetings that finish maybe 10 minutes early, things like that. So actually, you have a choice, don't you? You can sit in a bit of a doom scroll, or do you just get out, put your shoes on, and go for a walk for 10 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. And as much as there is a huge benefit to going outside, like if you have meetings that aren't like this, so they're not on a laptop, if you have a meeting on a phone call, rather than taking it sat down, walk around, whether that's your office or go outside and have a walk and just take the phone call that way. Because it doesn't always have to be this idea of like, oh, I have to just spend my time walking. You can incorporate it around what you'd normally do on a day-to-day basis anyway.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm one of those 10,000 step weirdos. There are some times where I do calls in the evening where I'll be on a call in the evening. I haven't got my steps, and I'll be out on a Zoom call, walking around the streets of Walton-on-Thames to get my steps in. So absolutely know that it's actually quite nice. It gets the brain moving, and it's so much better than spending another hour sitting down, especially if you want to get those steps in. Okay, so 20 minutes of movement, so steps, whatever it may be. What is habit number 2?
Okay, so we're sticking on this movement pillar, but this is focused on like specific exercise, or ideally call it training. And I call it training because we're focusing on intentional resistance exercise. By that I mean like lifting weights, whether that's free weights, machine weights, whatever it is. But if you can aim for just a minimum of 2 per week, 20 to 30 minutes per session, providing you hit the full body on both sessions, we can build muscle mass, we can build bone strength, and this is going to have like a short and long-term impact. So short-term, obviously, from the perspective of kind of building muscle mass, there's this element of aesthetics and kind of looking the way we like to look, which brings confidence. But also it helps with weight management. It helps with energy and focus. But also in the long term, the more resistance training we do, the stronger our muscles, the stronger our bones, the longer we stay independent for. So if we're thinking, and it's difficult to think this way, but if we're thinking like a few years down the line, when we're 60, 70, 80, and doing resistance training now can be the difference between requiring help or not, getting out of bed, getting out your chair, going out for walks. And for a lot of people, that is a very, very important thing to be working towards and wanting and kind of needing later on in life. So it all starts with, let's say, 2 resistance sessions a week, 20 to 30 minutes. Doesn't have to be time consuming. You can do it efficiently in a short amount of time.
Amazing. Okay, so what is a resistance exercise? So if you were to give me 3 moves that I could build into 20 minutes, what would they be?
Yes, I'll give you 4, just because I say full body, and we can do this with 4 movements.
Okay,
so as you can tell from the business name, I work in functional fitness, which is essentially movements that translate to everyday life. So something, and we work in 4 kind of functional movement patterns. 2 lower body, so we've got hinge and squat, and 2 upper body, which is push and pull. And essentially your hinge works the posterior, so the back of your lower body, squat works the front. Same with push and pull, but upper body. So if we're going hinge, we think something like deadlift. Again, mimics everyday life, picking a heavy object off of the floor. A squat movement can be a squat, nice and straightforward. But again, if you think getting in and out of your chair. And then upper body, for a push, we can go like press up or bench press, anything like that. And again, press up is if you fall on the floor and you have to push yourself back up. And pull, again, we can go like body weight, so like a pull up or a seated row. Less likely that you're doing many pulling movements in everyday life, but still. So you could do like a deadlift, a squat, press up, and a pull up, or variations of those movements. 3 sets of each, and you've done a full body session. Do that twice a week.
Nice. Oh. Awesome. Okay, brilliant. So that's the 2. That's the first 2. What's the third one we need to be thinking about?
Okay, so third one, we're moving away from movement and we're going into nutrition. Now, nutrition, so much to go over.
Yeah.
And I kind of go against what many coaches will go for. I don't like the idea of tracking calories. I don't like weighing and measuring food. It's a useful tool for weight loss, but weight loss doesn't necessarily always equal health. And we can achieve weight loss and better health through focusing on quality food, which essentially reduces the quantity anyway. So to do that, I suggest focusing on 30 different varieties of plants per week. Okay, so rather than a day, per week. And that's not just fruit and veg. Obviously, they're included, but also included are nuts and seeds, whole grains, and legumes. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Legumes.
No, it is legumes. My son has a legume allergy, and we say legume quite more often than probably anyone else in the country.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, fruit and veg, nice and straightforward. Nuts and seeds, again, straightforward. Whole grains, we're typically thinking unprocessed or low processed. So things like oats, specifically rolled or steel cut. And legumes, so we're talking like lentils, chickpeas, beans, not baked beans from a can, but like butter beans or anything like that. And yeah, you just 30 different variations over the course of 7 days. And it sounds like a lot, but one of the ways that I find it really easy to fit this in is like when I go and do a food shop, I'll buy a pack of 4 mixed nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
So they've got 4 in there already. And then I'll buy 2 packs. So like 4 mixed seeds, pine nuts and walnuts. And I just shove them all in a pot. And every time I go to the supermarket, I'll buy a different nut or seed, put it in the pot, mix it up. Same for like fruit and veg. I'll buy packs of mixed berries, or I'll buy vegetable, like frozen veg that's like carrots, broccoli, and cauliflower. So when it comes to portioning it out, if it's the fruit, I've got 4 berries in there in one sitting. If it's the veg, I've got 3 veg in there. And then I just kind of merge them. So I'll have my 4 mixed berries with some Greek yogurt and I'll get a spoonful of the nuts and seeds mix. And in that one sitting, I've got somewhere between 8 to 10 different plants. That leaves me with 20 for the rest of the week. And I can find those like here and there.
Yeah, and it's such an easy way, because you've taken out having to find 30 to put one thing on your plate. So whether it's a scoop or a serving of, and I do something similar. I have a nut mix thing laced with some chocolate as well, because I need a chocolatey hit. So I cheat a little bit, but I know that if I have a pot that's about the right size, so it's about 60, 70 grams. So if I need it, pour it in, not weighing stuff, but still not omni-eating. I used to be very big once, so I'm very good at eating. But it just helps me because I know it's about right. I know it does the job, and it keeps me going. So absolutely, I'm a fan of the omni mix, because it just keeps on giving. Love it.
Yeah,
cool. Okay,
yeah,
so carry on.
I was just going to say it's kind of really important as well. Like if you're focusing on 30, and then you've got these little bits and pieces like the mixed stuff, but then you're focusing the rest of your meals. If you start with the mindset of, okay, I want to get my plants in first, then that's where we focus on the quality. So we're creating meals based around get the plants in so we can hit our 30, and then around that, it means typically we're going to have a plate of high quality, nutrient dense foods that from a health perspective will give you more energy, make you more productive, all that good stuff. But also, if it's high quality, nutrient dense, it's typically low calorie. And from the calorie perspective, that's where we hit the weight loss without actually having to weigh, measure, track.
Yeah. No, it's that fun, isn't it? It's the sort of the purer it is, the less damage, the less calories, because it's less processed. There's not as much sugar. It's just better for you, isn't it? It's a good outlook. Okay, so we're almost there. So what's the fourth thing we should be doing?
Okay, so 4 and 5 are linked because they're both going to focus on sleep. But number 4 is focusing on a morning routine for a number of reasons. First and foremost, how we wake up will have an impact on how well we sleep the evening of that day. So how the quality of sleep we get is basically determined or partly determined by how well we wake up. So from a morning routine perspective, one of the big things, or two big things, is creating a routine where you rehydrate kind of very, very early on in the morning. If it can be one of the first things that you do, brilliant. Even better if you add a little bit of sea salt or Himalayan salt in there for some electrolytes. And the second one is getting some form of sunlight. If we can get sunlight early on in the morning, it helps set our circadian rhythm so that when it kind of, as we work through the day, we get tired at the right times to enable us to get to sleep easier, and getting to sleep easier helps with the quality of sleep we get in the evening. So it doesn't have to be like some people will have massive routines, 90 minutes, where they'll journal and meditate and do exercise and all that kind of stuff. And if it works for them, fine. But not everyone has that time. And it sometimes requires people to get up earlier than their natural kind of bodily rhythms want to. So as a minimum, if you can, within your morning routine, add in some water. If you can stomach the salt in it, even better. And some kind of sunlight outdoors. Specifically, we want to be out because if we're seeing sunlight through a window, whether that's a window at home or a car window, it takes a hell of a lot longer to actually get the benefit. So we want to be outside in it directly.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Do you know what? That is really interesting. Where it's got really dark, I get up quite early and go for a walk. And at the moment, the sun isn't up and I'm not getting the sunlight. Today, I was out a bit later, still quite early, but the sun was up and I just felt so different. So doing the walking bit, the movement bit, but the movement bit plus sunshine, I was just like, oh my God, It was like my body was like, come on, we're alive. It was just a different level of like energy just from seeing the sunrise. It just really helps me. That's really great reminder. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I'm not going to go into too much because I've only just kind of found this out myself, so I don't want to start making up stuff that isn't true. But I was kind of listening. If you're familiar with Andrew Huberman, I was listening to kind of his podcast, or one of his many podcasts around sleep, and he was suggesting that both first light and last light, when you kind of see in the sky that there's this kind of mix of kind of blues and yellows to almost create this kind of like reddy purpley light, both in the morning and the evening. If you can get out in that light at both times a day, then it has an even bigger impact, or even bigger positive impact, on maintaining a consistent circadian rhythm. So waking up at the same time, feeling tired at the same time, and then essentially getting to sleep at the same time. And once we've got that consistency with a circadian rhythm, we are so much more effective on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. Nice. Okay. And that segues nicely into the last one we were going to talk about, which is going to sleep. So what's the going to sleep habits that we need?
Yeah. So from an evening routine perspective, I mean, again, there's so much we can go into. It can be timings, it can be sleep environment, all that kind of stuff. But the main one to focus on is something called the 3-2-1 method, because it is nice and straightforward, and it is just about time. So 3-2-1 method, 3 hours before you go to bed, or your typical kind of bedtime, that's when we want to have our last big meal. Allows the body time to digest before we're sleeping. 2 hours before bed, we want to have our last drink, because again, we don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night having to go to the toilet. And 1 hour before bed, we're aiming to limit screen time, specifically blue light, because blue light's demonized, but during the day it's not a bad thing. It is just that as we get to the evening, when it naturally gets dark, but we're still kind of exposing ourselves to blue light, it inhibits melatonin production. Melatonin is very important for sleep quality. So an hour before bed, if you can like limit screen exposure, kind of whether that's blue light glasses, whether that's turning off the color on your phone, so going grayscale, all these different things, that alongside the 3 hours with food, 2 hours with drink, helps set you up nicely for a good quality night of sleep.
Awesome. Yeah. I had trouble sleeping for a long time. And actually, when you get that going to sleep bit right, it just changes everything, doesn't it? You're like, how did I not do this before? And like sleeping through, it just makes such a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And those two kind of work quite nicely together, obviously, because it's related to sleep. But the thing that I kind of tell my clients from a sleep perspective is always focus on your wake up time and work back in cycles rather than hours, because typical sleep cycle is 90 minutes and we want between 4 and 6 cycles. So that's between 6 and 9 hours, with the ideal being 5 cycles, which is 7.5. But essentially, find the earliest time you would get up in the week. So for argument's sake, the first thing that I need to do throughout the week is at 8 a.m. And that's Monday to Friday for me. So that's nice and straightforward. So I know if I want to do my morning routine and it takes me half an hour, I need to be up at 7:30. So I work back in 5 cycles. My bedtime is 12 o'clock. I give myself 15 minutes extra to essentially be in bed, lights off, to try and fall asleep at 12. But yeah, and then once you've got that for your earliest wake up time in the week, be consistent with it from Monday through Sunday, which is where most people don't like hearing that, because on the weekends they want to sleep in.
Cool.
What about you? Do you have specific routines with your sleep?
Well, it's funny. I try and sort of cut back on caffeine, so I don't do anything past 3 o'clock. I drink quite a lot earlier, but I also wait 90 minutes until I start drinking coffee. something, there's a couple of studies around it stops serotonin production. So in the morning, I won't drink coffee for the first 90 minutes, and then I stop about 2-3 o'clock. And the thing that actually blew my mind was nose breathing. So have you read the book Breathe by James Nestor?
I haven't, no.
No, and he talks, there's a lot of science around nose breathing. So taping your mouth shut, but then your body produces different chemicals. And the chemicals you produce that mouth breathe make you go to the toilet in the night, which then wake you up, which produces more of the chemical.
Yeah.
So it literally changed my world. Nose breathe. I'm like, if I've got blocked nose, my sleep is terrible. It's crazy. It genuinely, like, it's worth a dabble just to see how it affects. But the book, James, but that's a habit as well, how we breathe, and it really just changed everything I did. So most of the time, until it's hay fever season, I'm breathing out of my nose. And then in the summer, I am a committed mouth breather, destroying my health. There's a whole lot of science there.
From a breathing perspective, I'm familiar with it. So I've not heard of that book, but and very recently I've kind of focused on my breathing as well.
Yeah.
Similar to yourself, like I was taping my mouth and putting a nose strip on for sleeping. However, I, according to my other half, still snore. So I've been diving into sleep a lot more recently, in the sense that I know for my own personal health, if I'm snoring, then it might be sleep apnea, it might not be, but regardless, I'm not getting the best quality sleep I could get.
Yeah.
I've been I'm in the process of experimenting with my own sleep with things like wedge pillows, mouth guards, all these kind of things, just to see what works for me. So from that breathing perspective, it is very interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Cool. Awesome. So that's it. There are 5. So to recap the 5, they were, was it daily movement?
Daily movement, 20 minutes a day.
Resistance training, twice a week, 20 minutes.
Twice a week, 20 to 30 minutes.
20 minutes. Your 30 nutrients. So your needs and nuts, or nuts and seeds. I can't say it now. Nuts, seeds, legumes, everything that comes out of a plant, mixed up, 30 of those. And then sleep. It's the hydrate, get some electrolytes, some salts in you. What else was it in the morning? What was it? Was it when you wake up? Sunlight, that's the one.
Sunlight.
And then the 3, 2, 1 at going to bed. So it was 3 hours before stop eating, 2 hours before stop drinking, last hour, turn those screens off and try and go dark.
Perfect.
Amazing. Awesome. Cool. That is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me here at Habits HQ. It's been a pleasure having you. Is there anything you want to tell people about that they need to come and work with you with? Anything you're promoting at the moment?
So I or stay tuned, because I am running an offer in January for my Thrive program, which is essentially focused on helping business owners and execs overcome their time barrier to be able to prioritize their health without sacrificing time in the business or personal life. And it's all done through healthy habits, which it fits perfectly in with the Habits HQ. So stay tuned, because there is a big offer coming in January. If you want to find me, you can just search Adam Housley on LinkedIn, and I'm here every day.
Amazing. Brilliant. That's cool.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. It's been wonderful. Have a great day.
You too.